Good afternoon. This week in Florida, there was a remarkable story that made the news. And it was a story about this single-engine plane that was being flown by a pilot with one other passenger. And suddenly the passenger called the FAA and said, the pilot is incoherent. He had a health condition that happened on the plane, and I don't know what to do. And they didn't even know where he was. He wasn't sure himself where he was near Palm Beach and which direction he was going. But they immediately told him to take the reins over and how to manage making sure the wings are balanced and the plane doesn't, heaven forbid, crash. And then they took a couple minutes, they caught him on the radar, and they found exactly where he was, and they told him just to stay near the water, and they helped him land the plane. And this remarkable man had never flown a plane. He wasn't like he even practiced. He wasn't planning to be a pilot. And suddenly he was able to literally land the plane, and the pilot, who had a health condition, a health scare on the plane, was rushed to the hospital where I think he's doing fine. And this guy became suddenly a pilot. He learned how to fly a plane. It's remarkable. And the guy who helped him land was also a remarkable guy. He's sitting remotely, and he found him on the radar, and he guided him. And here were three people who managed together to save this plane from crashing. And it reminded me of a very famous and important Jewish lesson. Arevim kol Yisrael zeh b'zeh. Every single Jew, every single human being is responsible, is connected one to the other. And this is especially true with us as a Jewish people, as a community. Some of us might live in Ukraine, in Russia, in Israel, in the United States, but we're really each one connected and responsible for the other. And we always have to be ready to take the reins of the plane and to become the pilot when one of our friends, when one of our colleagues, when one of our brothers and sisters aren't able to because of a crisis, because that's the responsibility of a Jew. And in this week's Torah portion, we read something very interesting. The Torah tells us, if you have a sheep and its baby, you can't slaughter them both in the same day. Even if you want to bring a sacrifice, if you want to eat them, you have to wait between and do it on 2 different days. But if you read the verse, it says, lo tishchatu. It says in the plural, you shouldn't slaughter. It should have said it in the singular, because it's talking about one person. And the answer the commentaries say is that even if I buy a sheep and another guy buys the baby sheep, we're two separate people. We use different funds, we live in different places, we're not related, we're not friends, but we both bought it, we're not allowed to slaughter it on the same day. And it teaches us the power that you think, what's my connection to this other person? He lives in Cholon, I live in Eilat. Why can't I do what I want with my sheep just because he bought the child? And that's the message the Torah tells us. Arevim kol Yisrael zeh b'zeh. Each one is connected and responsible one for the other. There's the old story, the old adage they say about this guy who bought, he's going on a cruise. He bought a spot on the cruise. He's going on this lovely cruise. And he's in his room one day, and suddenly they see he's starting to drill and make a hole in the boat. And they say, what are you doing? He says, what do you mean? It's my cabin. I'm doing whatever I want. They say, but you can't do that. If you make a hole, there's water going to be coming in. We all could, heaven forbid, die. He says, well, you can't tell me what to do in my cabin. And the captain says, absolutely. This is not your cabin on your own. We're part of a bigger ship, and you have responsibility to all the other people on the ship. And the same is true in life. And that's what this pilot showed us. A remarkable person. He was on the plane, and when push came to shove, he was ready to rise to the occasion and do what had to be done. You know why? Because he was calm and confident. And he realized that if he put himself to it, he'll be able to do it. My friends, always remember our responsibility to someone else, to everyone else. Remember our responsibility to the people of Israel, to the land of Israel, to those that are destitute, to those that are poor, to those that are challenged. And stand up and speak up when it's needed. You think about what happened last week at Harvard. You think about what's happening yesterday. Unfortunately, there was a Al Jazeera reporter that was killed, and the world's attacking Israel. No one even knows who did it. The Palestinians don't even want to go into a joint search, a joint, investigation. They don't want to give the bullet. They don't want to give the helmet. Why? If they're so confident it was Israel. Of course they're not. And it's very possible and very likely that it was a Palestinian bullet. But they don't care about the facts. They just want to attack Israel. And the Susan Sarandons of the world, and the progressives, and the Talibs, and the Ilan Omars, and all these vicious bigots and anti-Semites are all screaming out, what are we going to do? When the pilot is incapacitated and needs our help, and people in Israel need us to be their voice in America, are we going to be there or not? Let it be that way in every aspect of our life, with each and every person that needs our help. Let us always stand for them and be for them, and speak up with a clear, calm, and confident voice when we need it most. The weather's gorgeous, finally, and those of you around, come join us outdoors in the tent tomorrow, 10 a.m. with a beautiful Kiddush, celebrating the gift of Shabbos. Remember, Sunday is Pesach Sheni, and we'll talk about that on Sunday. Have a good Shabbos. Enjoy.